Sorry, Mack. You might want to press record on this thing.
Good. Andrew, good. Guys in the back, you all good? Good morning, everybody, and what a great game on Saturday night. The environment was unbelievable. The weather was good. It was a little cold, but it was. We've had great weather throughout the year. Our crowd was amazing. The student body continues to be the best in the country at what they do. I think they made a difference in the game at the end. That's why when we got the overtime in our end zone, it's very, very difficult for Duke to hear. And after the game was just absolutely crazy. That's what you want for your environment, your fans. You want them to have fun. You want them to enjoy it and just see an absolutely unbelievable game. I give credit to Duke. They came in a tough environment. They kept fighting. We had opportunities to pull away, and they didn't let us. And they pulled every good thing you could pull. They pulled off a fake punt at their minus 30. They had an onside kick with 9:40 left in the game and got it. They were 4 for 4 in touchdowns in the red zone and 4 for 4 on fourth downs. So everything they did worked. And Mike's done an unbelievable job there. They play hard. They're well coached. I'm very impressed with everything he's done. And I was also impressed in a rival game. There wasn't any pushing and shoving and mouthing. It was a very classy game with a bunch of smart kids that really competed and fought at the highest level. And I do think it's disappointing, and it's kind of weird for me to say as a coach, but I think it's disappointing that somebody has to lose that game because both teams played so hard. And I gave the coaches a quote this morning that one of the NFL coaches had said is to his players that these games can come down to a yard. A yard can make the difference in whether you make it or break it. Or a yard or one play can make the difference in whether you're feeling so high about the game or so low about the game when both teams played really, really hard and really, really well. So, but proud of our guys. When Andrew asked me after the game why I was so emotional, it kind of got me because you want your program to be in a such where you're when you're down to 41 seconds and 2 timeouts. And I thought it was so cool that nobody left the stadium. So people thought we had a chance to win. And most crowds in the country would be mad, they'd be leaving when somebody scored with 41 seconds left. And it was good for the coaches that we were able to save the 2 timeouts. In fact, we used the 1 to keep time on the clock when they had the ball. And our defense played great, and they were down to a 4th and 7. And we came after him, and he made a great throw with a double move. So they executed perfectly on 4th and 7. But you want your program to be in a position where they're confident enough, your coaches are good enough where you can take the ball with 41 seconds, think you're going to win, get down to a key field goal, put yourself in overtime, and then we drop a touchdown pass in overtime to win, and still come back and compete and get down to finish the game right. So you're just, doesn't happen very often in your life or your career. And you're so proud of your program, your coaches, your kids, your fans, everybody involved to win a game like that. It's a rival game when it's very, very difficult to do and things didn't look good. So I'm very, very proud of the guys and the way they handled it. Proud that the guys have won 8 games. There's only 16 Power 5 teams right now that have won 8 games out of 130 or 132, whatever there are that are playing now. So proud of the guys. Could we have won 2 more? Yeah. And we lost them right at the end on last drives, and that's the way college football is. We beat App State and Duke in overtime, and we lose to Georgia Tech and Virginia on the last drive. That's kind of where we are now. You've got to win all the close games to have a chance to be undefeated at the end. Guys played extremely hard. They never quit. Always felt like we were going to win. Rivalry games are about winning, and senior night's about winning because you remember that the rest of your life. And when people talk to you at 50, they don't ask you how many plays you played, or they don't ask you how you did. They ask you, how many times did you beat Duke? what was your record against state? That's what they ask them. And that's what's important to these guys many years from tonight. But fun celebrating, fun keeping the bell in Chapel Hill, because that's very, very important to both schools, obviously. And again, congratulations to Mike Elko for how he's handled this program, how well they're coached, how hard those kids play. And he's doing it with his third quarterback. And it's just amazing to see what he's doing over there. So I'm very proud for him, and I'm very respectful of what he's done. He's done a very good job. I know you're not supposed to say that about a rival, but he is. So it's facts. So I always try to show facts. Player of the game offensively was Bryson Nesbitt. He was sore during the week. We didn't know if he was going to play. Watch him in pregame. He had 7 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. He had multiple clutch receptions. But also the offensive line played really well. We challenged him. Duke's got a great front. And Corey Gaynor and Diego Pounds and Spencer Rolland really stepped up. All 3 tight ends played very well in the game, with Copenhagen and Morales doing a great job. J.J. Jones and Tez Walker both had outstanding performances, and I don't know that I've seen Drake be better. He made some plays that are just wild plays, and it was fun to watch. Even the 2-point play, where he acts like he's going to run and then pitches it to Copenhagen wide open. Some of those plays were just absolutely amazing. Defensive player of the game, proud for him, Miles Murphy. He really stepped up. 3 tackles, he had a sack, 2 tackles for loss in a game where we knew we had to stop the run. But defensively, we played well most of the time until we got late fourth quarter. Kamen Rucker, Jabari Ritzie, Don Chapman all made differences in the game. Ced Gray, Power Eccles, Stick Lane, and Elijah Huzzy also played really, really well defensively. Special teams player of the game is Noah Burnett, 6 for 6 on field goals, 3 for 3 on extra points, scored 21 over 47 points, and made the kick to continue the game twice, very, very pressured kick. So proud for him. Liam Boyd had 7 touchbacks on his kickoffs out of 8, and very good for him. Liam will be going back to Clemson this weekend, so I'm sure that'll be very emotional for him since he transferred in June from there, and this will be his first trip back. But also have to commend the coaches for, I've never been in a position where I've lost the starting punter and the starting kicker. And the 2 that have come in, I've done the 3 that have come in. The kickoff guy is new, the punter is new from when we started, and the field goal kicker is new. And all 3 of them are doing a really good job for us. And that's a great compliment to Larry Porter and our special teams coaches, that they were putting us in a position when we had losses that it didn't set us back. Offensively, we got off to a fast start. We ran the ball really effectively against a great run defense. Nearly 200 yards rushing. The 1-minute drill before the half and at the end of the game was as good as you can do with it. Very much like Drake did against App State on the last drive. 11 of 19 on 3rd downs, 2 of 2 on 4th downs, which both led to scores. 4 for 9 in red zone, which is not effective. We had 8 straight touchdowns in red zone coming into the game. You go back and look at it and study it. 2 of them were penalties. We had a awful substitution mistake on 4th and goal from the 1. We were going for it. And then we had a holding penalty in another one, which would have given you an opportunity to have 6 for 9. And then we had 2 first down plays that weren't good. They were outside plays, screens, and we didn't block well, and Duke played them better than we did. So we'll go back and look closely at why we didn't score more points in the red zone, because that could have separated us from the game, because we were down there so many times and we didn't do it. Defensively, played really well for 3 quarters. We gave up 83 yards rushing the first 3 quarters, and they only had 142 yards. And then like Georgia Tech, like Virginia, we didn't play good in the 4th quarter. So we've really got to figure out why. And are we not substituting enough? Are we tired? I don't know. But defensively, we're just not finishing the games like we should have. And we knew Duke was going to come in and run the football. And we knew that we had to let a freshman quarterback be the one to, if they were going to beat us, he had to do it. and he threw the ball well, but we stopped the run for the large majority of the game. We gave up a couple of long ones and can't do that. But we held them to 5 of 15 on third downs, which was great, but there were 4 of 4 on fourth downs and 4 touchdowns and 4 trips to the red zone. So those are things that we've got to do better. Because their scoring in the red zone and our kicking field goals in the red zone is what kept the game close. Like we said, special teams, we talked about Liam and Noah. We dropped a fair catch at the 1 yard line. We dropped a fair catch ball in the kickoff return like Michael Carter did 3 years ago at Boston College. That's where it is. I don't like the rule, but it's a dead ball right there. I think the rule should be either if you drop it, it's live, or after you call fair catch, it's a dead ball. Because it's kind of dangerous when kids aren't really sure what's going on. But anyway, we turn the ball over to one, we throw an interception the next play, and let them get excited and let them get a cheap one, which you can't do. We said they faked the punt and made it, we missed a tackle. We were screaming fake punt, and we had it covered and just missed a tackle, which you can't do, but we had another guy that should have helped out more. And we told the guys again, like South Carolina, be ready for the onside kick. This is a great chance for them to get it. They weren't stopping us, and they executed it better than we did. So once again, like South Carolina, I told Coach Porter, if we think there's a high probability they're going to onside, we ought to move them all up and just put the onside team out there, and then fair catch it if they kick it deep. I mean, it's something that we should have done better, but they were on high alert. We just didn't execute in either case. Clemson's one of the premier programs in the country. They've recruited well every year. They've got great players. They've got great coaches. Dabo's home record is 96-9 at Clemson, which I'd take here. I think that's pretty good. But they're playing so much better the last 2 weeks, and their whole problem was they were turning the ball over, and they quit turning it over. So they're forcing turnovers now instead of turning the ball over. And they're playing with a lot more confidence. You can tell the beating Notre Dame at home and beating Georgia Tech like they did. It was a lot worse than the score because they were way out there. And I got to see part of that game because of our night game. But they totally dominated Georgia Tech in a game where we lost on the road. So it'll be a fun environment, but a tough environment. Dabo is one of the best coaches to ever do it. He's a Hall of Famer, just waiting till he gets out to get in. We just played them in the championship game, so we're very familiar with them. Cade came in at quarterback the first time he'd ever come off the bench and had an unbelievable game against us. So we had a very emotional game on Saturday night with a rival. We got a very emotional game coming up at Death Valley this weekend. Then we'll have another emotional game over at Raleigh next weekend. So our guys have to step up and be tough and be very confident to get through this stretch at the end of the year. Questions?
Mack, you mentioned the fourth quarter defensively. What do you think has been the factor? Is it fatigue or what?
I have to think we're getting tired. Chip, that's the only thing. I've asked our coaches every week to look at it, and we don't substitute at linebacker. And we have to. We just got to start substituting more to get Power and Set off the field some, I think. They've got to be worn out to play as many snaps as they've played at this time of the year. And we say we're going to do it, and we haven't done it. So that's something that we've got to look at. We're rotating up front. You know, we lost Jacoby Cowan, so that hurt us some. But we can still rotate inside. We're rotating some at safety, but we missed too many tackles at safety. We lost our edge twice at corner and safety. So we've got to do a better job tackling in our secondary. And that gave up the 2 touchdowns where a safety didn't get to the edge and turn the ball back in. And a corner right before the safety did the same thing exactly. So that's coaching. We've got to do a better job coaching our secondary to come up and contain and turn everything up inside. But I have to think it's a little bit of fatigue because we're staying. They had the ball a lot more than we did time of possession, but we had more plays. So I can't. At Georgia Tech, we dominated the third quarter offensively. They were only out there 2 series, and then looked really tired the fourth quarter. So I don't know. We're struggling with it a little bit to try to figure it out.
When you say maybe should sub set and power out a little bit sooner, is there a little bit of a drop off in their performance in the fourth quarter? Has that been something that's been consistent in these recent games?
I mean, it's just so big a drop off with our defense in general. And Power and Said play hard. They're both players of the game. I mean, but you just think that Amari Campbell's got to play more earlier and give Power some rest.
How many plays did
Whatever they had. How many did they have? Jeremy, what did Duke have?
We can look it up. 77.
77.
Mack, you mentioned how emotional the Duke win was. Drake called it a fairy tale ending to his home career here. Is it hard to mentally reset for this week?
Is he true?
Well, I mean, he didn't make any announcement, but like he was saying that he said it was a fairy tale ending.
He was asked if it was his final game, and that's when he said it would be a fairy tale.
He also said
the game?
he also said it's a great
I
way
have
for
it once out. It was way late. Breaking news.
he also
Go
said
ahead,
it's a great
Mike.
way for it to end. So he made it seem like it was his last game.
Officially, I was being a smart aleck. So go ahead.
He's in the training.
I know that.
All that is to say is it hard to mentally reset because like the season isn't over? You still have 2 more road games left, but it was the end of the home season last week.
I think if we were playing a game that people wouldn't be excited about, it would be hard to reset. We've got 3 games here that'll be as important as we've ever had at this school. So they got to get ready to play. And they're physical games. We're banged up. We get through at midnight. Nobody gets any sleep, and nobody cares. You got to go back to work. So that's just it. So we'll tell them like everything else. This one's gone after today. You can enjoy it till lunch, and then after you talk about it today, on to Clemson.
That was well played, by the way.
That was what?
That was well played, by the way.
Thank you.
Everybody
I
focuses
thought it
on
was pretty cool. Too.
Yeah, it
I
was.
really did.
everybody focuses on stats with quarterbacks, but there's an edge, obviously, that Drake takes on the field all the time. Have you ever seen any football player play with the kind of football edge that he takes on the field at all times?
I've had a lot of great players, so it'd be hard to say.
But for
These
a quarterback to
others,
match like the linebacker kind of edge, it seems like he brings
Well,
that Joe football
he
edge.
does. Sam did the same. Sam was tough as nails. I mean, we ran him way too much, in my opinion, his last year here, and now he's one of the best passers in the NFL already. But just to Drake, I think it's the way he was raised with a competitive spirit that he's got. He loves to play. He loves to practice. And it's just, and he's really hard on himself for every little thing that he does wrong. If he missed Tez because he's a little underthrown and he's just scored 3 touchdowns, he comes over and says, "I can't believe I threw that short." And I love the way he improvises. Some people have compared him to Mahomes when he pitches the ball out to Hampton coming down our sideline, and the throw he made on 4th down to J.J. Jones was unbelievable with people hanging on him. The first throw he makes to Bryson Nesbitt with people hanging on him, and Nesbitt wasn't ready yet, so he's waiting till he comes open and then gives him one of these. The play with Copenhagen. If he waits, maybe John's open anyway, but he steps up to get him to come to him and then dumps it. He's got such an awareness of things around him. And I think a lot of that credit should go to his dad. His dad was a great player, but raised him as a quarterback and had him at every camp and coached him as a young player. And that family, they compete at ping pong and golf and every little thing they do, and that's just who he is. So if we were playing Campbell again this weekend, he'd be excited because he loves to play.
When you talk to people at the next level about him and they come and have a chance to see him in person, like the other night, for example, is that something that they end up marveling at? Because you can see the throws, you can see the numbers and all that kind of stuff, but you can't see what he did the other night until you actually see him do it in person the other night.
Yeah. We talk about Heisman Trophy. I can't believe his name's not being mentioned in it. It's probably because we lost 2 games. But when you look at The drives the other night, those were Heisman drives. That's what everybody, you have to have clear-cut things that separate you as a quarterback from others, and he's that guy. I mean, we're seeing things that we saw with Sam we thought we'd never see again. And then we're seeing things with Drake that we thought we'd never see again. And we got to have that next guy to step up and do this. But I was just amazed at some of the plays he made the other night. The pitch with the left hand at Pittsburgh. I mean, where does that stuff come from? And you don't see that in practice because you're not hitting him. And then he dove Saturday. I think he did that just to make me mad because he hadn't done it since last year. And when he did his dive over down at the end zone.
He said the DBs were small, so I don't know if he had planned it.
Yeah.
I said they had short DBs.
Yeah.
I mean, it explains he was thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He said he was telling guys before the game that they got short
Fell
corners.
over.
I feel a leap tonight.
Well, he didn't make it all the way over. Let's just put it that. They weren't that short.
But that's sort of what that's sort of what I'm asking. Like, he's just got a different wiring.
He is. I think he just loves to play and he loves to compete. And it goes back to the Tuesday at Syracuse where he was beaten up, and we've got the open date before Syracuse. And I say, why don't you just do a few drills today, let your ankle rest? Because he played on a sore ankle for 4 weeks. At Virginia, he could barely even walk in practice, and you don't even know it. He did. And I said, why don't you take this practice off? And he said, I can't take practice off. I got so much to do, Coach. I got so much to get better, and I love to play. We talked about, because we were banged up, taking shoulder pads off one practice and just letting them be in shorts and trying to get it. He said, I think we need to be in pads. Coach, we got to compete. So that's who he is. Everything he thinks about is having an edge for winning. And that's the kind of leader you need and the kind of person you need. And that's the kind of guy that takes the ball with 41 seconds left and scores. And I'm on the sideline with him, and I said, you good? And he said, we got this. I mean, it didn't even blink. So just thank goodness Duke scored with 41 seconds left. So we had enough time to do it.
Mack, the first time you were here, Carolina played Clemson every year. You would go to Clemson every other year. Do you feel like that's kind of been a lost rivalry with the reshuffling of the divisions since you left and came back?
I think with the border states, it's always a rivalry. Like South Carolina, we don't play South Carolina a lot, but that game's really important. Clemson's really important. And that's what Michael, when they told us we were going to play these 3 games at the end, my mind said, we got 3 rival games in a row. And against 3 really good teams, maybe 3 of the best defenses in the country, that we'll play 3 weeks in a row. And we didn't finish November well last year, and now we've got a much tougher schedule to try to finish it this year. But I thought rival games, that was the first thing in my mind. Emotion, they say you can only play with full emotion 4 times in a year, but we got to do it 3 weeks in a row. So it is what it is, and we just got to get up and go.
Have you told the guys who haven't been there, like, hey, Death Valley is, it's different. It's probably the loudest environment you're going to be in all year.
No, they'll like that. I always love going on the road and playing in great places. You hate to go on the road and play where there's nobody there. I mean, that's where it's boring, but I love it. Road games with big crowds are the most challenging things you can have. You look at the 96 and 9, I mean, not many people have won there, so what a great challenge for us. And nobody will think we're going to win. Everybody will think Clemson's going to win, so that doesn't happen around here much anyway. Everybody thinks we're going to win all the time, so we're very rarely an underdog, so that's kind of fun too. Art?
Matt, one more question about Drake. This is your opinion, because you know the situation with the NFL and all that. The Panthers are 1-8. There's already talk about how much they want Drake. What will they do to get him, and how important is he to that franchise beyond the field? I can imagine he could fill up the stadium with just his presence.
Yeah, Art, I leave all of our pro stuff up to Daryl Moody. So I really don't even know who's winning and who's not. I watch our players when I can, but I usually have to watch highlights of them. I don't have a team.
But you know the Panthers are 1-8, you know that.
I really didn't. I don't have time. I just, and I really love, I want to see how Sam Howell did. When I got home last night, it was just right at the end of the Jets game, and all I wanted to see was Michael Carter. That was it. I just, because I've never been a guy who's gotten into pro football teams, but I get into our players. And that's the most important thing. I'm so proud of. I saw some stats this morning on Twitter where Sam is just absolutely killing it and doing so well, and I'm so proud of him. So I'll try to text him this morning and tell him how proud I am. And he'll be mad they didn't win. That's just the way these guys are wired.
But going back to that, Drake, you said a sore ankle. Was that you said that was in the Pitt game? At what point was that in?
He had the sore ankle, I guess, after Pitt because it was sore for about 4 weeks there.
So he hurt it in the Pitt game?
I think, I don't remember. Yeah.
And how, it was pretty severe at some point?
Yeah.
You felt like he might not be able to play?
We never thought he wouldn't play, but he had trouble pushing off and throwing. There's no way he's not going to play. I mean, he's just that tough. But I think one of the things that I meant, Chip, through all this is when all this we're talking about with him, he is tough as nails. And he gives you the old shucks, and he will fight you, and he will compete. And there's no shucks in that huddle or when we're playing. He is really tough. And as he's kind of tall and lanky, but he is not going to let something that's hurting keep him from practicing or playing. He never missed a snap, and probably should have some, and he wouldn't get out. And even when I said, why don't you take a day off? I'm not doing that. I got things I need to fix. So that's how tough he is.
Sorry to interrupt you. How do you, with Nate McCollum, how do you explain, or what do you think has happened there? I mean, this is a guy that had, I know the injury has been a factor. But with that said, I mean, this is a guy that had 15 catches against Minnesota. I think he had 27 catches over a 3-game stretch. I mean,
Yeah.
He's just sort of disappeared a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's injury. I saw a quote from Michael Jordan I gave to the staff yesterday, and he said, I practice so hard every day that the games were easy. And basically I'm so confident because I've done everything in practice that when I go to the games, and Nate hadn't been able to practice. He's practiced very little, and that's difficult. And then when Bryson's been injured some, you don't play him quite as much. And basically Nate and Bryson have become interchangeable at slot. And the coaches these offensive coaches have done an amazing job of getting the ball to Marion and making sure they've got the 3 tight ends in sometime, or 2 tight ends, or when you lose somebody, they don't even flinch. They just say, hey, we'll do this and this and this. I'm very impressed with what they've done to get the guys the ball that need it, to get your playmakers the ball. And that's what really good offensive coaches do. And we've had very few sacks. And even the sacks we've got have been 2 sacks for 2 yards because there were scrambles, or they haven't been the sacks where you lose 9 yards, or it's 3rd down and 12 and you lose 12. So they've in fact, one of our guys was having trouble early on Saturday night, and they went immediately to chipping. It was really impressive to listen to them and watch them, and hey, we're having trouble here. We're going to do this. We're changing these things. But Nate has not practiced very much, and hopefully he came out of Saturday night well. With a drop, he'll beat himself up. So he's got to get his confidence back. And
that's exactly what I was going to say. I didn't know if there's a confidence issue there too. Injury's a factor, but
well, when you don't practice, you're not as confident. And when you don't, you're not able to work as hard in practice to make that catch over and over and over again. You're not as likely to make it in the game. And it was a harder catch. I mean, it wasn't easy.
right.
It was a hard throw out here. So, yeah. So but he's really a good player. I'm sad for him that he's been hurt on and off, and it hadn't been as wonderful an experience and as easy. It's weird that he and Tez were both 2 guys coming in that we felt like would be able to stay healthy and have fun and have a great year, and both of them have had their ups and downs. Tez has obviously been the NCAA issue, and then the Georgia Tech hit, but Nate's just been hurt.
From a special teams standpoint, I know there's obviously been injuries over there, but I guess what's kind of needed to tighten up some of the mistakes? I mean, obviously there was the onside kick, and a few punts have been blocked. So just kind of when you're looking at that, what kind of needs to change to kind of tighten some things?
Well, the punts were blocked early in the year with a different punter. Right now we're doing better in that area. We have corrected it and fixed it. The onside kick was a perfect kick, and we had a chance and we didn't get it. And it was a surprise, and it was a surprise against a normal front, and the odds of getting those are a lot better than the odds of getting an onside kick if you know it's coming. And that's why we should have moved people up. So I think it was more on us than the kids. And we've had some punt returns that have changed games. We've rushed enough punts that we had some bad punts Saturday night because he's a 46-yard average guy. And there were some that gave us better field position, but you can't return them if you're affecting him and he's not doing it. We made 6 field goals, and we kicked out of the end zone 7 out of 8 times. So I think what happens, Jeremiah, is in your business and in the fan business, you always look at what didn't work well. And to be fair, there's more going well in special teams than there are going bad. You can't drop the ball at the 1 yard line. That was a game changer. That cost us points. And then we throw our only turnover interception the next play, and then we don't stop them on defense and force a field goal. So that was a combination of a team screw up in that 3 or 4 minutes. But when you go on the road, you've got to run the ball better on the road. They always say take your defense and take your rushing game with you and your special teams, because you got to make a special teams play this weekend that changes the game. And we've done that at Pittsburgh, but we did it at Georgia Tech with a kickoff return. But we haven't done it consistently well, and that's something this weekend that'll be important.
Quick follow-up to the special teams. I know, Tommy, I'm not trying to cut off on the guy back here.
Well, you did.
I did. I'm not trying to apologize. Mack, I don't know, I'm sure you looked at it, I don't know if you looked at it. It looked like Javari missed a block on the game-time field goal that sent it to overtime. It looked like they almost duped. They had the guy lay out. It looked like he almost blocked the thing. I mean, was that?
They almost block every field goal.
Okay. All right.
We almost block every field goal. They're so close, and that's why the timing is so important to get it off. But yes. Tom.
Well, the Panthers don't have the first-round pick this year, so to clear that there. But Mack, Marion, we talked a lot.
Hey, Tom, I asked him what adjustment.
We didn't get the ball. We asked you guys a lot about Marion not getting the ball enough early in the season. He had 40 touches, I believe, against Duke. Just his evolution, not only as a runner, as a pass catcher, and pass pro. I mean, have you seen somebody advance as much as he has, week to week, year to year, as he's done?
No, Tommy, it's a great point. He's so much more confident. And in high school, great backs do not pass protect because they've always got the ball. So that's a lost art. Usually when they come in, the first thing you have to do is teach them to pass protect because they ran it all the time or they caught it all the time. And he is doing such a good job. Saturday night, he had a couple of great blocks to give great time, and Duke blitzes a lot. So, and Clemson will come after us, and the State's going to come after us. And that last year, we didn't do a very good job when they came after us in November. But he's confident, he's patient. I'll get mad sometime when they hit him at the line of scrimmage, and I'll look up at 2nd and 4. I mean, I'm saying, come on, man. And, yep, 2nd and 4. But he's powerful. The kids love him. They believe in him. Drake was talking about the other night after the game how he just snatches the ball so easily as a catcher too. But he's become one of the premier backs in the country.
Is it hard not to compare him to Javonte sometimes when you see the play that he makes?
Yeah. Javonte's thicker, and this guy is real fast. So I think that's the other thing. You look up and he can go 18 yards before you even catch a break. Or the run at Georgia Tech was one of the best runs I've ever seen. We don't block anybody. and there's about 8 of them tackling him, and I look up and he's in the end zone. So he's very tough, but he's very confident. And he's talking a little bit more. He'll speak to me now. I say, Omari, great job. He'll say thanks.
I was gonna ask Mack, I was gonna ask about Noah Burnett again, just, missing that big kick against State last year, could have crushed a lot of players, just the fact that he came back and he wasn't starting, but he hung in there and then the lineup the other night with the game on the line, make that kick.
Yeah, you got millions of people, Chip, watching, and here I am on the sideline, and I'm telling all the guys, strain, this is important, don't let them get close. And I see him, and he's back there walking around by himself. And I remember when we had a winning field goal in the Rose Bowl, and it was Michigan. It was 6 seconds left, 3 seconds left, or something. And our kicker was standing back by himself. And I went over and I put my arm around him and I said, "How lucky are you? You're going to be able to get any date in the state of Texas after you kick this field goal through." And I thought, I saw Noah standing back there by himself the other night. I thought, I'm going to leave him alone. Because he was so focused and he was working on it, man, and all this. And I thought, I may be a distraction if I go back there. But you just think he has 50,000 watching in person, the importance of both of those kicks, really. And then our thought of a negative kick in our mind at one point that was that important last year in the same situation exactly, and he didn't even blink. And he talks about as much as Omari. I mean, we were proud of him yesterday and asked him to stand up, and he just smiles and says thank you.
Matt, you talked about it earlier how you think Clemson's playing a lot differently, just in terms of not turning the ball over. Do you feel like you guys are catching them when they're playing their best this year? It seems like it's a much different team than it was.
Absolutely, 100%. They're old Clemson again. They're playing like a playoff team. I mean, they're protecting the ball. They're running the ball so well. Cade threw the ball really well the other night. I mean, they dominated a Georgia Tech team that beat us. So I sat there and watched it and said, "Uh-oh, boys are back." They woke up.
On Noah, like, what was your message to him? Because, I mean, you guys recruited over him in the portal. And, I mean, he realized that. We've talked to him a little bit about it. Like, did you have a message for him to, like, I don't know, try to keep him in there? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're bringing Cole in?
Yeah. We really didn't a lot. It was just that we're bringing in what we felt like was one of the best in the country. So compete, and they competed every day. Every day we watch the number of kicks they have and who makes it, who doesn't. It's an easy evaluation.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it's easier, Adam, than a lot of different positions, because you can say, here are the stats. So your numbers need to be better than his before you kick. The thing that is very impressive about Noah is that he misses the kick at NC State and still misses one at Oregon.
He did.
And you worry about it. He works all spring to make sure he corrects it. We bring in another kicker. He's not phased. He's buddies with Ryan. They all hang out together. They all work together. He doesn't start, doesn't pout, doesn't say anything about it. Then Ryan gets hurt and you say, "No, it's yours," and he goes in and does his job. So he has been another great lesson for this team about don't pout, don't quit, don't get down, wait for your opportunity, and when the opportunity comes up, he will be remembered now for making one of the biggest kicks in this school history. And for his attitude and for his confidence to hang in there and come back, and we're always trying to teach life's lessons, and he's something we can learn from.
He's 18, he's 18 for 19, and he's 6 for 6 from 40 to 49 this year. So does that tweak a little bit of maybe how you approach third downs when you're in range for him? I know that you relied heavily on analytics, but when you've got a guy that's almost automatic to at least get points, does that change things?
It really doesn't. What it does, if it's even in my mind about whether we should go for it or not, then we're more likely to kick because we think we're going to make it. Where last year I sat there and I said on 4th and 3 against State, I wasn't sure. I was sure the other night. I mean, when we get the substitution penalty, we're kicking. It's 100%. We're not discussing it. We're not talking about it because those are points.
Yeah.
So probably to answer your question, Adam or Andrew, yes, is that we are more confident when we're kicking. Do we lean more toward kicking? We're still going to try to score. The disappointing thing, we're in the red zone 9 times. I mean, that game is it's a much different game if we just score touchdowns. So, and give them some credit for that, but we didn't do as well down there, and we need to fix that as well.
His longest year is 48. What is his range?
I think about that. You know, we usually think if we get to the 30-yard line, we're good. We can kick, and then anything past that, the percentages drop off, but he's done really well.
Mack, looking at Cade specifically, he hasn't had, the best season up until now. He 4 touchdowns against Georgia Tech, but the team saw him basically at his best last year. Do you think that's going to impact how they play Clemson this year?
Absolutely. He played his best game against us. Off the bench. I mean, nobody talked about him. Nobody knew anything. We stop him 2 or 3 times in a row, and they put him in, and he goes crazy. So Clemson is like we were at Texas. They get everybody's attention, and everybody plays them as hard as anybody in the country because they are who they are. You can't put up the number of 96-9. It's hard to even say it without looking at it every time, and think that they've won 100 games at home and lost 9. Very few people have walked out of there winning. So all that gets your players' attention. Plus, a lot of our guys probably want to go there, and they didn't recruit them. Facts. A lot of the guys that they've got, we recruited, and they didn't come here. I just looking at their roster last night, I'm thinking, well, yeah, him. Yep, him. We offered him. Liked him. Wanted him. So they've got the best players in the country. They've got great coaches. Garrett Riley was he was the hottest offensive coordinator in the country last year when they played for the national championship at TCU. Lincoln obviously is considered one of the young geniuses in offense in the country, and he and his brother are very, very similar. So they're really, really good at everything they do. They just had a year where it was uncommon for them that they turned the ball over and weren't first in turnovers as much as they have in the past, and now they've corrected all that.
Coach, we'll finish up with that.
And that's a Texas girl asked him about an Austin quarterback too.
Right, kids.
Yes.
Mack, just wondering, your first time here, when you guys played Clemson all the time, by the way, I think it's 97 was the last time you played them down there. Won the game, Dre Bly. Did you ever use Frank Howard's rock for some sort of motivational talk or nugget, or I mean, did you ever bring this up?
No, you don't need motivational talks for Clemson.
All right.
Just their history gives that to you. What I've always said that I couldn't. Clemson's a great coaching job, and you'd love to coach there. I couldn't coach there because I can't run down the hill. I'd fall, I'd trip, they'd run over me. So every time I see Dabo run down that hill, I said, you'd like to think you could do a lot of things that other coaches do. I can't do that. I could walk down the hill. I don't even run out in front of our team because I'll get run over. So that's my biggest thought. I love history, and I love the old coaches and Coach Howard and what he meant. And Whitey Jordan, played there for Coach Howard and coached for him, and then came here and coached. And so we've got so much history. Gene Chizik coached at Clemson. He was a GA there. But I sit and look at Dabo running down that hill, and every time I do, I say, nah, can't do it. Not my deal, so I won't ever coach at Clemson.
He's been happy 96 times after those runs.
There's no question, and absolutely miserable 6. And if you think, I'll get out of here. If you think, if we had missed the field goal, we'd be miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that one play now makes the difference in how your life is. And people be wanting us fired today, instead of having a great win over a rivalry where people storm the field. I mean, it's just amazing that such a minute difference can change your life in this business. I see two coaches, one gets fired yesterday, they play this weekend, one gets fired today. I mean, people are paying coaches a lot more than ever before and firing them a lot faster. I mean, that's just what's happened with both. So, anything else?
Right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Matt.